This is the Norwegian Beauty and the Beast, east of the sun and west of the moon. And in Norwegian, Osten for sol og Vesten for munne. So this is the copy that I've had since I was a kid, but the original story was published in the Norske Folkeeventyr that was put together by Peter and Christian Asbjørnsen and Jørgen Moe in 1844. It wasn't actually translated into English until 1879, and of course the English translation was done by Sir George Webb Dasent. Story goes, there's a poor family with many children. The youngest of the daughters is the most beautiful of all. One day, a polar bear appears at their home, and the polar bear tells the father that if he can have the youngest daughter for his wife, that he will give the family riches. Of course, at first the young maiden refuses this. Why would she want to marry a polar bear? The polar bear and the father agree that he's to come back next Thursday to get his answer. Well, next Thursday comes around and the young maiden changes her mind and decides to go with the polar bear. The polar bear takes her to this magnificent castle that's hidden in a mountainside. Every room in the castle is filled with treasures and gold and silver. So by day, the maiden explores the castle and spends time with the polar bear, and by night there's a mysterious man who comes to her bedchamber, but he's often away before dawn, so she can never see his face. After a while, the maiden becomes lonely and she wishes to go see her family and see how they're doing. Polar bear agrees to take her to her family, but he warns her not to let her mother speak alone with her, or bad luck will fall on them both. When they arrive to see the family, the maiden can see that the polar bear made good on his promise and gave many riches to the family. But the maiden ends up talking alone with her mother. And through this, the maiden tells her mother about the mysterious man that comes to her bedchamber every night. The mother tells her to take a candle with her, and once the man is asleep, to light the candle so she can see who he is. When it's time for the polar bear and the maiden to go back to the castle, the polar bear warns her that if she follows the advice of her mother, that bad luck will fall on them both. Curiosity got the better of the maiden. So later that night, when the man came into her bedchamber and she was sure he was fast asleep, she lit the candle to look at his face and discovered that he was a beautiful prince. However, in her discovery and excitement, she accidentally drops 3 drops of wax on the prince's shirt and wakes him up. Well, now the truth has been revealed. The prince shared with the maiden that he was under this horrible spell from his evil stepmother, that he should be a polar bear by day and a man by night. And if only he could find a maiden who would love him for a whole year, then the spell would be broken. But because she's discovered who he truly is, he must leave that castle, forced to marry a troll princess. Where can she go to rescue the prince? The castle that the trolls live in lays east o' the sun and west o' the moon, and no one knows where it is. Follow along for part 2 and more candle nonsense and drippity droppity boo. That's the wrong fairy tale.